What's up, guys? Paul Costa with Achilles Tactical, back on the range again for another episode to help you with your shooting journey. Today, we're going to talk about grip, but specifically applying a principle-based approach or a technique approach. And we're going to talk about how they can work together and some pitfalls that I see across the training community. All right, so first things that we have to understand is, yes, I understand there are viable techniques that we use to employ to get the gun to behave in a specific manner. The problem is that most people just want the technique without understanding the principles on what we're trying to get the gun to behave like, right? So inherently I go to classes and dudes just say, hey man, give me the trick, right? Give me the technique. I want you to hold the gun this, I want you to do it this way. And on this diagram here, we have a bunch of different techniques. A lot of these I don't like, but they're things that are pushed out, right? Like high and low, and some of these are good too, right? Like high and low leverage, locked bone structure, thumb pressure, upside down horseshoe grip. There's a million of them, right? Like clamshells, like whatever it is, it may be a valid technique or it may not, but inherently, if we don't understand the principles of what we're trying to create, how are you able to actually validate if that technique is actually good or not, right? You would probably say, well, if the rounds are there, right? Well, what if the rounds aren't there, right? There's a lot more to shooting than just a specific technique. So when we understand when we take a principle-based approach and we're looking at, hey man, I want the gun to behave in this particular manner, which we'll talk about in a second, and then I apply a technique and it doesn't allow the gun to behave in that manner, well then I know that it's not a valid technique, right? And same for the inverse. If I apply a specific technique that's given to me and it does make the gun behave in that specific manner, then I know that I'm onto something. Also, when I'm training and doing exploratory training, when I'm having mistakes, was it a technique issue or was it a visual disconnection? If I'm paying attention to the right things and I know the gun's behaving in a specific manner, right? Well, then I can start to quickly identify where the mistake was, right? But without that framework of principles on what we're trying to encapsulate in that grip, a direct technique approach usually will just lead you to mediocre shooting at best, right? And my goal as an instructor is always to give you the best possible product and give you principles that will allow your shooting to grow forever, however far you want to take it with the amount of effort that you're about to put into it. Inherently in class, I won't show people my grip, right? In the beginning is just very exploratory. The reason why I don't show them my grip is because your grip is very specific to you and the gun you're shooting, your size of hands, any limitations you might have. And I want you to pay attention to the principles. And the principles of grip is we need a good durable grip, right? So durability of the grip is I'm able to hold this gun and I'm able to maintain it for long aggressive shot strings, right? Following with that, we want it to be consistent, right? I need to take that durable grip and I need to be able to consistently apply that no matter how aggressive or unaggressive that I'm shooting, right? So it should be very durable, it should be very consistent. It also needs to be repeatable, right? I should be able to draw very aggressively and recreate that durable, consistent grip on demand, right? If it's something a little wonky that I won't be able to do that with, well then maybe that's not the perfect technique, right? And when we're looking at selecting techniques based on who you are as an individual and your size of hands and the gun, you're looking for something that's going to minimize, ideally, you putting tension into the gun, right? So let's just talk about principles-based approach. We'll go back here and I'll do something that's going to be very principle-based, but technique-wise, it's completely wrong, and I'm not advocating for you to do this, right? But I do this in class because I want people to stop focusing on the specific technique. Where do I put my hands? What should I do with my thumbs? What do I do with all these specific things? And I want them to open up their aperture and start to really understand what's important. All right, so we got a black pacer here. We're gonna shoot some doubles, all right? And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to completely, for the first one, remove my firing hand from the gun, right? So this definitely is, no one would probably say is a good technique. I'm going to remove any support from the rear of the gun. I'm not gonna have any high leverage. I'm just gonna be on the side of it, and all this hand's gonna do is just press the trigger for me, right? And let's just see what that result produces, and then we'll talk about it. So no hand on the back here. All right, let's look at this one, Tanner. So the first round I pushed on. After that, I unfucked myself, and I put a nice tight group, right? So how was that able to happen, right? Is because although that was a horrible technique, I doubled down on the principles, right? So although I did not have an ideal grip, I made sure that it was durable and it was consistent throughout the shot string, which allowed me to shoot it very aggressive. And although I had excess movement and it was inefficient, I was still able to predict how the gun was shooting. And as long as I didn't do anything stupid like that first one and push on the gun, I got a very nice tight group with aggressive shooting, right? Let's do another one, right? Same thing, principle-based approach, but horrible technique. So I will teacup the gun, right? I'll use my firing hand, I'll have support behind it, but I'll teacup the bottom of the gun, and then I'll shoot the doubles again. All right, so that last one I pushed on just slightly, but you can see the group again. When I embrace the principles, right, and I don't violate them, the result is right there. These 2 rounds, I violated the principles, and I changed pressures in the gun, had a little shoulder tension push in, and then I get a less than desirable result. Nonetheless, this is important for you to understand, because sometimes we're not always going to get the perfect grip, right? Sometimes whether you're in a stage or you're in real life, you're going to draw the gun, and it's not going to be like, man, this is my ideal grip. But we can still get a very good result if we just double down on the principles and put a little bit more bandwidth on not changing what we have, and we still should be able to shoot fairly aggressive. Maybe not as aggressive as you could with your perfect grip, but you still should be able to maintain fairly aggressive shooting and still get the gun to react in a predictable manner. Although it might not be the same predictable manner you're used to, the gun will react the same way. Therefore, you're able to keep pressing the trigger aggressively as long as you maintain visual connection to the target, right? So here will be an example of a sound technique, right? And we'll do this clean target over here. I'll do what I normally do for my gun, like normally how I grip the pistol. And then I'm going to violate the principles. And that specific principle that I'm going to violate is I'm going to lock up the gun in a good, durable fashion, anchor into it, how I like to grip the pistol that we go over in class. That minimizes me transferring tension in. But I'm going to purposely pressure change my grip in the shot string, right? And we're at 5 yards, so it's not going to be like crazy egregious, but you still should see a substantial difference. All right, so I don't know if you guys could see that in the gun behavior. I could sure see it. What I was doing, the specific principle that I was violating was, like I said, changing pressures. And the pressure that I changed was, as I pressed the trigger with my entire hand, right? And as a right-handed shooter, that did exactly what I thought, right? So the first rounds, we shot 3 sets of doubles. The first rounds are right where we want them because I'm aimed in. All I have to do is press that trigger halfway decent to the rear, and I'm not going to disrupt the sights. But on the follow-up shots, I had that aggressive pressure change, which violates the principles and directly correlates the rounds to be pushed way off target, right? So I don't want you to think I'm not saying techniques are important, but what I am saying is that your techniques need to be rooted in the principles. So think about the principles first, right? Think about how I'm trying to get this gun to behave, and then find techniques that support this. We all use techniques, right? But we're not just picking out random techniques that we think would work. We're finding that techniques that support the principles, and the principles of this, the overall arching principle, is to get the gun to react in a predictable manner, right? And the overarching principles of grip is to get the gun, to hold the gun in a manner where it's durable and consistent and does not change. Hopefully this helps you guys. I do this in class because I want you to think differently about your grip. I want you to really understand what's important. This dives into that awareness video that we did a while back, right? Developing an understanding of what's really happening in your grip. And this takes heavy exploration, and for you to step back out of it and really think about, hey man, what am I seeing? What am I feeling? What am I introducing into this gun? Early on, it's very difficult to find, but slowly as you continue to repeat this and you start paying attention to the specific key things of like, hey man, did I feel any pressure changes? Did I pick a small spot and was able to visually maintain that discipline throughout the shot string? All these core principles, slowly it will make a lot more sense and you'll be able to pick up exactly on the mistake that you made. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. If you have any questions, put them in the comments, like, subscribe. Even if you don't like it, put your nasty comments in there too. I'll answer them as well. I have no problem. I think it's important that we have a healthy conversation about this. But the overarching theme here in this video that I was hoping to convey to you, and hopefully you got that, was that don't just look at a specific technique. Don't go to a course looking for a specific technique. Find the principles and then develop your technique that are going to be specific to you and the gun that you're shooting. Like I said, if you guys got any questions, throw them in the comments and I'll get back to you.